What's going on, YouTube? What is happening? It is your boy DameSmiff. So today I wanted to quickly chat with you guys a little bit about what your role is as a musician slash artist or rapper or whatever it is that you aspire to be today in 2024. Now, the reason I decided to talk to you really quickly about this is because I would like to clarify a little bit of the standards that I personally have for artists and musicians and things like that. But also, I would like to kind of see where your standards are and kind of have that conversation. But I would like to, pose my side of it using this video. But essentially, let's kind of figure out how I came to the standards I have today, right? So, for me, becoming a musician was solely a choice. I didn't really grow up in like an environment or a household where everybody was a musician singing or in bands or a part of that, right? But excuse me, I found a lot of my interest in music through other people's interest in music, right? So my parents had music that they enjoyed. I had friends that had music that they enjoyed, or they themselves played instruments, or had parents that played instruments, or family members. I also would find interest in other students when I was in school and the things they did as artists. Either it was, painting, physical mediums, and things like that. It could be singers, it could be dancers, and things like that. I liked learning about their processes. Even though I wasn't a part of it, it was interesting to learn how, let's say in marching band, how the dance captain leads their team, right? And then it's also interesting to learn how the brass section coordinates, movements or maybe coordinates their notes and everything else that goes into making their section cohesive. But for the most part, it was the learning itself that made music and art and all of those different things interesting to me. Now, the reason that's important for how I came up with my standards is because my approach to music was an educational one, not necessarily an emotional one or a one from duress. Like, I wasn't trying to rap to pay the bills, I wasn't busking in the streets to make rent. And I also wasn't doing this because I just had a love for music. It was literally like I liked learning about the music, right? And so I got to see different levels of musicianship from the person who's learning an instrument for the first time, no matter the age, right? You can, have peers in middle school learning how to read music. And then you can have the person who's a 50, 60-year old person that wants to learn an instrument, right? I got to see that level. And then I also got to see people who were performing live on national television, standing behind stage. And so I got to kind of understand how the processes work, how to bridge the gap between being a new or novice musician to being a veteran one that can kind of have their own stability. And then I could also figure out how and where these different things that I learn work for myself, right? And so again, having this exposure is key to creating the standards that you will have as a musician, because you will have different things to compare and contrast what works for you as an individual, and you can figure out what results you want from your works or the industry that you join. Excuse me. But a lot of the things that we talk about here doesn't necessarily only pertain to just musicians, just artists, right? There are people who are interested in music that, they can't play music, they don't dance, but they may, work in law, they may work in graphic design. You have makeup artists, you have a lot of business strategists, marketing departments. Um, I honestly believe we should have more of this, but like human resource departments and things like that within the music industry. And these things help this whole ecosystem kind of function. But we all have different standards when it comes to how we present our work, present our results and our efforts, right? So the point of all of this is to really say that, all right, I took all of those experiences that I had as a musician, jumbled them up from learning lessons on the fly, getting a lot of preemptive lessons from people that were teaching me from beforehand, and also making sure to be in control of my decisions, right? You never want to be an artist, even in life. You don't want to be a person that's willingly giving up power and you don't know why you're doing it, right? So now that I'm older and I understand a lot of the things that I've been through as a musician, I can kind of adjust my standards to where I am today than where I was in the past, right? So in the past, the standards would be like, I just want to, play and perform and be seen and do gigs and things like that. Then after a while, it's like, okay, I kind of want to make a name for myself, but what does that really look like? What does that, strategically look like? How do I methodically get to the point to where I feel satisfied with status, right? And then the next thing would be trying to find some sort of stability in it to where you don't have to think of it as a job, but it feels pretty stable like a job, right? And the standards are different for each of those levels. So then after a while, when you realize, okay, do I want to work in the music industry, be a consumer in the music industry, or do I want to support the music industry or entertainment, right? And that, like I said earlier, could look like different things, right? You could be a person who plays an instrument, but you're really a roadie for a band that you don't play for. But this is a way that you can stay a opportunity, or not an opportunity. You can stay of value, an asset to the industry without necessarily risking your own, brand or time, or not time, but your own brand and your own resources and things like that. On the other hand, you could be an independent musician where everything comes out of pocket. You got to do everything from the ground up. You got to make the relationships, you got to make the trips, you got to be on time for all your meetings, and you got to make sure everybody's getting money in their hands like they're supposed to. And so, depending on which path you choose, kind of determines what you'll be exposed to set your own personal standards, right? So if I'm a person who I want to be a singer or a musician, like I want to be a studio musician, studio recording artist, right? It would make sense to find a record label to get signed to and then work with and build up an experience, right? But when you work with a record label, there are some responsibilities that you just don't have to deal with that make your job easier to do, but it also means you don't have to deal with these responsibilities. So your experience with these responsibilities don't really give you clarity on how you should set your standards when it is time to deal with those responsibilities. To give you an example of that, in a record label, you may not be the person who deals directly with your analytics. And so, as a studio recording artist, you may not know directly what records are working, how they're working, who's listening to them. You may get this information, but this may be, not in real time. And you may not know everything you need to know about this data just simply off of experience and wisdom and education, right? On the other hand, if you're an independent studio artist, like you have your home studio or you pay for your own space and things like that, there's no, third party backing. Most of the things you're going to be doing are going to be from your own willpower. Like you're literally going to have to go look up your analytics, print out the sheets, read the numbers, understand the numbers, know what to do when you see these numbers. There's a lot of things that go into this. And so now you have a little bit more clarity to know that, okay, here's my standard for my analytics as an artist. And to give an even deeper example, what that could look like is you have a YouTube channel and you say, I want to upload once a day, right? That's one standard. And then you realize, man, when I was signed to a record label and they had us doing one video a day, we got really good numbers. But I know this one artist who's independent and they post 5 videos a day. Now they're nowhere near as produced or as high quality, but they can get as many as 5 videos a day out. Now, over time, they're going to be miles past you as far as a library of content. But you then have to think about, okay, do I want to put out as many videos as my competition or put out better, or if not equal quality or value in my videos? So it's something to think about when you're making your status standards. So let me know, this is something you think about as a musician, and if so, is this something that really affects your career today, or is it something you think will pop up in the future? Let me know in the comments. And if you like videos like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and